Hi, welcome. This is my first tutorial I've recorded, so I apologize in advance. Start out by taping your paper down. That's what I like to do. And then make sure you wet the entire page. And I like to go over it a couple times just to make sure that it gets good and wet. Now, when you put the tape down on your paper, I like to put the tacky side on my clothes a couple times just to help remove some of the tackiness so it doesn't, rip the paper when you take it off. So go over with a clean water and a bigger brush several times with the water. You don't want puddling. You just want a nice sheen. Okay, so I'll try and show you what the sheen looks like here. So I wipe off any excess water around the edge. So you don't want any puddles of water. You just want a nice, even sheen to the paper before you start painting. Now, if you get bored in this video, you can actually speed it up. So if you go to your little gearbox, see the sheen there? Go to the little gearbox, you can speed this up a little if you want. So now I had already mixed up some Hooker's green, little burnt sienna, and a little bit of Payne's gray. You can see it's mostly Hooker's green. And then I just kind of go on the wet paper and just kind of make where you want your kind of tree line to be. And don't be afraid here. Just go ahead and make your tree lines. So I didn't do a drawing in advance. I'm just kind of going with it here. So just this is the first time I've done a Foggy Forest. So again, I apologize if it's, not the best video or the best tutorial, but we're going with it anyway. So you get your tree line there. Now I keep dabbing my my brush on a paper towel just to kind of get any excess water or paint off before I do anything here. So. And also, I apologize, I didn't get everything in the video as I'm learning here that I wanted to, so you can't really see my paint or my water bowls. But I have one for dirty water and one for clean water. When you get your tree lines in there, kind of where you want them to be, I like to soften up the edges a little bit, so it kind of looks more foggy. So that's what I'm getting ready to do here. With just a damp, clean water. Trying to get all the paint off of there. You just really want clean, there you go, clean, clear water, and just kind of soften the edges a little bit. And you can also take a paper towel and do it with a paper towel as well. Either way. Appreciate you watching my tutorial here again. You can speed it up. I'm learning how to make these, so I'll get better with each one, I am sure. So now just kind of swoop up a little just to kind of get some tops on the tree line there. And then I'm tilting it here just to get the paint to flow a little bit. Again, soft, making sure the edges are soft because we want it to look kind of foggy looking. So I don't know what that was. Now I'm re-wetting the paper with a spray bottle at this point. Unfortunately, I didn't get the spray bottle in there, but it's a really fine mist sprayer. So I want to keep the paper wet at this point because we want these to kind of fade a little and look sort of blurry like in the background. So it helps if the paper's wet for that. If it's dry, it's be more detailed and more distinct. So now I'm just taking the same color and I'm just sweeping up, just brush strokes up, just kind of the indication of where trees might be in the tree lines here. You don't have to worry about it being perfect or anything. Just take your brush and a little bit of paint and just swoop it up for where you want the trees to be. Okay? All right. So at this point, see the paper's a little damp still. You could see a little sheen there, but you let it dry here. And then we're going to re-wet it again with the sprayer because, again, trees, when they're further away in a distance, you want them to be lighter and not as distinct. So you want them to be fade away a little. So you want the paper still wet at this point, or damp at least, to when you paint these trees in. And you'll see what happens. They'll kind of fade away. So they'll look more like they're in the distance. Okay, so I just start at the top of a tree and I just dab the tip of my tip of my brush back and forth, as you can see here, just to make indication of tree. And I'll continue to do this get all the trees. So everywhere where I had swiped up, that's kind of where I'm putting the trees. Again, just tap back and forth. And at the top, it's obviously narrower and it gets wider as it goes down. Try to leave some empty space in between some of the branches so it's not, so you can, some white space in there, here and there, just so you can make it look more like a tree. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just trying to do an indication of trees. And then I soften at the bottom of the trees. So keep going along here and do everywhere where you swooped up, just kind of paint a tree, back and forth, back and forth. And keep, clean, damp brush just to soften the bottom of the trees, to make it appear like they're going into the fog. So just back and forth. It's, again, you're just doing indication of trees. You're not really trying to paint these perfect little trees. You just want, you'd be amazed how your eyes work when you look at a painting. Just having that appearance of trees, our eyes will see them and our brain will interpret them as trees. So they don't have to be perfect. Again, my paper's still damp. So if it starts to dry out, because, depending on your climate, some people's paper will dry quicker than others. So if it starts to get dry, let it dry. Don't mess with it if it's getting to be dry, because then you'll start having issues. So just let it dry, re-wet the paper, and continue on. So, again, softening the bottom of the trees. Yep. And you can do this. This is a very beginner friendly painting to do. It's my first attempt at a Foggy Forest scene as well. So this is the first one I've ever done. But practice makes perfect, right? So the more of these you do, the better you're going to get. But this is one, it doesn't take long to do. And again, it's very beginner friendly. So get out your paper, get out your brushes. You see, I'm only really using one brush really for most of it. I used the mop brush initially, but I'm pretty much just using an 8 round. And it doesn't matter what kind of brush, as long as it has a fine point, because you want, when you're going back and forth, you really want to be using the point of the brush. And this is actually a fun one to paint. And again, like I said, it doesn't take long. So this is something you can just do and play around with. And you can use any colors you want. You don't have to use what I used. I used Hooker's Green, a little burnt sienna, and Payne's Gray, but mostly Hooker's Green. But the Payne's Gray and the will darken it up some. But you could use any color you want. I mean, you could use just Payne's Gray if you wanted, depending on what kind of look you're going for. If you want it to look more gloomy, the straight Payne's Gray would work really well for that. Next one I do, I'll probably just do straight Payne's Gray just to see how that turns out. And so just keep going back and forth like that. And I'm also getting them kind of angling like it's on a slope, you can see. So the ones on the far left are taller. As you go to the right, they're getting a little shorter. But you can see, because I'm doing it on wet to damp paper, the trees are looking like they're kind of faded a little, so they're looking like they're in the background. Now, when you get up closer, when we do the ones in the front, you'll see those will be on dry paper, because you want those to be, the close-up ones to be more detailed. Okay, so here we go now. The paper is dry at this point, so let it dry. Then you don't want a watery paint when you do these ones in the front. So you want it a little thicker paint, and you can see they're going to be darker because they're in the front, foreground. So they're going to be darker, not so watery, on dry paper. And again, right where we had done the initial strokes up, that's where I'm going to put the trees. And I just start by doing them at the top of the tree down to get the trunk in place first. And then I start at the top with just little back and forth motions, just like we did the other ones. Only these, you can see how they're coming out. You can see more detail, right? So they're going to be in the foreground. So you want that. You don't want them to be blurry or appear like they're in the background. Yep, back and forth, back and forth. And again, you can speed this part up. You don't need to watch every second of this. We're going to keep going and get all these foreground trees in place. Again, they don't have to be perfect. Just back and forth. I apologize too if there's any background noise. I have 3 dogs, a cat, and a parrot right now they're actually being pretty quiet. So, okay, I'm putting another tree in here in between the two trees because we want this to look like a forest. So we don't want trees like evenly spaced apart and all that. So you kind of want them to be together, and you want some overlapping others. So just keep building on the forest. I hope you're enjoying this. I'd love to hear your comments, and I'd also love to see your finished results. So if you want to post those as well, that would be great. Love to see everybody's work. I'm sure a lot of yours will look better than mine. Now we continue on. And we're getting near the end. Just keep finishing these trees up here. I'm going to put one right on the edge here. And again, you don't want them to all be the same height. You want to kind of vary the heights. And sorry about that. And then, like I said, you want to overlap them a little too. Okay. Rinse out your brush really well. And again, try to soften at the bottom of the trees a little. Okay. Just clean water. Not a lot of water, just a little bit. And just soften at the bottom of the trees. All right. Looking good, right? See, that didn't take long, right? Did that take long? No, that was pretty simple. Okay, now, what do we do now? I think we need to add some birds. What do you think? Oh, I thought I had recorded adding the birds. I missed it somehow. Anyway, I just added a few birds at the top there. Just little V shapes. That's all you got to do. Very simple. And then, of course, sign at the bottom. And date. So I usually just put the year. Thank you for watching.